People living with sickle cell trait face so much stigmatization in the society to the extent that it also affects their relationships. Sickle cell disease, as I know, is a genetic health condition that is not infectious. So I wonder why a lot of people avoid having marital relationships with those living with the disorder. These people are already going through pains occurring in both chronic and acute crises. Adding the pain of stigmatization will only get them more depressed. It's on this backdrop that the founder and president of a non-governmental organization, Gail Sickle Initiative, Oluwafemi Ajayi, decided to take some time out to educate the public on the need to stop sickle cycle and stigmatization of those living with the trait, as it has continued to have a negative impact on their mental health and may lead to depression and anxiety. Ms. Ajayi x-rayed those mythical beliefs that ordinary man in the street has against sickle warriors, what her foundation has been doing to help their lots, and how the campaign against sickle cycle and stigmatization can be made a priority amongst religious leaders, schools, and community leaders. Do listen and be informed. Offer truth. Information is power. I remain yours, Cynthia Okere.
The way I will advise from somebody who has sickle cell disorder, I will advise you to follow the genotype compatibility route. That is better, it's safer, and it's more secure.
Is there any way AS can marry AS and still have children that are normal?
When you know that your genotype is not compatible with that of your spouse, then I would advise you to end it and look for somebody whose genotype is compatible with yours. For example, those whose genotype are AA can marry AS, they can marry SS, but AS and AS, it is not advisable for them to get married. AS and SS is not advisable for them to get married. SS and SS, it's a danger zone. Don't even try it, except you guys don't want to have kids. But then if you now feel, okay, I love this person, or I have faith, and we will go beyond that and we will marry despite the fact that our genotype isn't compatible. Okay, if you have the money and you can afford it, go the scientific way.
Scientific way? How? Could you please explain?
Science has given us different options where they match your genes with each other, and then from there just go to your gynecologist or the genetic counselors, and then they will instruct you on the steps that you can take to make sure that you don't have children with sickle cell disorder. I know somebody who has sickle cell disorder, and she got married to somebody with AS gene, and today they had to go for genetic counseling, but she could go down that route because she could afford it. If you cannot afford it, just stick to your genotype compatibility. That is safer and it's better, and that is what I personally will advise for anybody.
Is sickle cell curable? And at what age is this possible?
Yeah, sickle cell can be cured, but then everything evolves around money. The cure for sickle cell is bone marrow transplant, and it is not affordable for a lot of people. Most of the people living with sickle cell come from the low income families, those that don't have a lot of money. Some of them cannot even afford to eat 3 square meals in a day, and you want them to go for bone marrow transplant, which is about millions of naira. The cost of the bone marrow transplant is about that, and how can they afford such? Most of them cannot. But for those who can, and they find a match for the process, then they can go ahead and seek for the cure. But for those who cannot afford it, there are stages. The most vulnerable stage of sickle cell disorder is between 1 and 5 years. Yes, they are very, very vulnerable that time, and most of them don't survive past that age. But for those who survive to 20s, 30s, 40s, by 40s, 30s, you are good to go. As in that stage, you understand your body, you know what works for your body, you know what medication suits your body. For example, now I might be someone who loves to take a lot of fruits and who loves to take supplements. Some people's body adapt to drugs more than the other. I may react very, very quick to paracetamol, and some people may react very, very quickly to Panadol. It just differs. It depends on your body metabolism and the way your body reacts. There's an immune thing, and it expects you as a person, okay, I understand my body already, I know what works for my body, and then I will not go beyond this.
Talking about diet that you mentioned, which diet do you think will be more helpful to those living with sickle cell disorder?
Like I said earlier, it really depends on your body, what your body wants. My own body might like a lot of rice. Some people might do a lot of swallows. I don't like swallows. When I was young, if I take swallows, it gives me crisis. But the main thing is we take water. Make sure you are never dehydrated. Take your routine drugs, routine supplements all the time. And then fruits and vegetables. They are very, very good for us. They help us a lot.
Like they always advise BP patients to avoid salt, is there any particular thing like food that one with disorder is not permitted to take?
That is more of a doctor's jurisdiction than mine, but I will say, growing up, I learned that I shouldn't take iron. Iron is not so good. So anything that has to do with iron is not good for, so I avoid it as much as possible. And most of my fellows with sickle cell also, they don't go that route.
Which age would you get to and know that you have actually conquered sickle cell?
It is real grace. I cannot say this is the standard age that, yes, you can live a normal life. I just heard about somebody that died 38 years when she was approaching 40, and she died 38 years. So I can't say there's a standard age. It's just grace. We should always never go beyond our limits.
Is it possible for someone to have sickle cell disorder and not look it?
Very, very possible. Most of those who don't look it, when you say look it, yes, I know the society has tagged us. We have yellow eyes, we have bloated tummy, we are skinny, we look fragile. Yeah, I know that's what everyone looks at when they expect to see people living with sickle cell disorder. But some of us don't actually have those characteristics. You know, sickle cell comes in different variants. There is SS, there is SC, then there is thalassemia. The way it comes out in everybody is different. SC are probably the ones you are talking about. They have the feet, you can't see them outside and say, oh, this person has sickle cell. They are very strong. But sometimes when they have crisis, it's usually very, very painful. It could take some time before they get over it. That's if they survive the crisis.
Does sickle cell disturb pregnancy like chronic ones?
Some people actually feel that people with sickle cell disorder cannot have children. It is dangerous for you to marry them. I beg to disagree. We can have children. Sometimes it affects when they are pregnant. I'm not pregnant yet, but I know from what they have told me, sometimes during pregnancy they have crisis, but most of the time you have to see the gynecologist and then your specialist as well, the hematologist as well. And so you go to them and you follow everything they tell you to do. With that, you are fine.
Aside employment stigmatization you earlier mentioned, which other ways have you been stigmatized?
I attended some interviews and they were like, hey, this one, sickle cell, no way, I can't employ her. Hey, she looks so fragile, no way. Thank God that at least I had the opportunity to work in several places. Most of the time, they always didn't want me to leave, and they're like, I never knew, despite having sickle cell, you could achieve this. Stigmatization comes in other areas. There's this myth that we have in Nigeria. We judge a book by its cover most of the time. They believe people with sickle cell, from the societal and spiritual context, they say we are abiku children. We have come to torment our parents, to make them suffer. Why would you think such a thing at this day and age? Just because is it my fault I have sickle cell? Some people that their genes, they don't have any challenges with their data AA, they are scared of having anything to do with SS or AS. Why? The fear of even dating somebody with sickle cell it's so, even if they don't have the fear, you'll find somebody in their family or their friends warning them, hey, don't go there, stop this stigma. It's all over the place. In this country, it's all over. Career, you find it. Relationship, you find it. Society, you find it. Spiritual, you find that stigma. It is too predominant. How it's gonna be done, I think we just need to go and talk to all the spiritual leaders, the society. Stop the stigma. We are human beings.
What does the organization do to help those with disorder, especially with the rate of stigmatization you pointed out?
Recently we did a program to commemorate the June 19 World Sickle Cell Day. It was tagged Stop the Sickle Cycle, and we collaborated with our colleagues outside Lagos, and we took awareness to the schools, to the parks, to the marketplaces, and we were talking to people about the importance of genotype compatibility, the importance of knowing your spouse's genotype before you go into a relationship or when you want to get married. We also support our winning warriors with routine supplements. So by supplying them with routine supplements, we are helping them to stay immune, and that will reduce the rate of crisis. There's something we do, we call it sicklepreneur. It was born out of the need to support winning warriors to become independent. When I say independent, we know that in Nigeria here, getting a job is something else. How much more getting a job as somebody with sickle cell disorder. We now created a platform where we trained our fellow winning warriors in skill acquisition. It's not enough to train them, but also empowering them with tools so that they can start something up. Apart from that, we also assist some of them with their hospital bills, also give them welfare packages. And the more we get sponsors, the more we are able to empower and assist them.
The COVID and post-COVID experience, how has it been with the warriors?
Personally, I didn't enjoy the experience at all. It wasn't a nice one. It stopped a lot of my personal programs. For somebody with sickle cell disorder, I needed to guard myself extra. And then generally for all of us with sickle cell that time, we were all advised to stay home. As this third wave is coming in, I implore my fellow winning warriors to be extra cautious, all the necessary precautions, and whatever the government can also do to make sure that this thing does not go beyond unnecessarily. They should please do so. In the case of people living with sickle cell disorder, I'm imploring the employers, those who have companies, who have big industries that can help winning warriors, don't stigmatize them. Create avenues for them so that winning warriors will not fall into depression. They will not fall into unnecessary psychological challenges. One of our discussions with my fellow winning warriors, some of them were saying nobody wants to marry them, nobody cares about them, so they have decided on their own they are going to date somebody with sickle cell like themselves, and they will marry themselves, face the consequences. I want to advise you, please, my fellow winning warriors, don't do that. Don't let people push you to the level where you become your own enemy. Rejection from the society. And what is rejection? When people start saying trash about you. Stigmatization is what you allow it to be, and not because they say you have sickle cell disorder and nobody is going to marry you, and then you now to go and marry SS. Why? They'll laugh at you even more. Dating alone is not about marriage alone. So many people have succeeded without all those things.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you here. This is where we'll be calling it a wrap. I remain yours, Cynthia Okere, saying bye for now.